Hi everyone, this is V and welcome back to my channel. So today is gonna be a new video on the series. What? Why? How? And do you know what it's gonna be about? Do you know the subject? Oh yes, you already read the title. Yes, it's gonna be about oil painting. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh, we're gonna talk about oil. Yes. So fabulous. It's so oil. It's important to know the oil painting because when you want to start, it's important to take the good medium at first. You already saw that in the video on the acrylic because the acrylic was more easy to explain at first. So if you didn't saw this video, I recommend you to look at it. So it's gonna be in the description box below. There's gonna be a link so you can click and see that I'm crazy every time. Yes. So we're gonna learn why is it so popular and why most of the artists use it. So in this video you will know, as a beginner, as the people who want to take your brush and do something, is the oil a good choice for you? And you're gonna see. So if you're curious to know about the oil painting, put your art switch on and let's go. So at first, at my first video, I did actually a historical section, but now I'm gonna do the same thing about oil because oil is kind of old. Yes, it's kind of old. It was really popular, and it's kind of important to know where it was, or it's just fun to know because I'm an historian, so I like it. So you cannot have a historic section without the scar of it. So let's go. Let's be historian. Let's be historian. Okay? Okay, let's go. Oh. Okay, so I have my scarf and I'm ready to give you a short historical view of the oil painting. There's a lot of things to cover with it, but I'm just going to cover 1 century or maybe 2 because if I do everything, you're gonna be bored, because it's not the purpose of this video. When I do my research, because I actually did research, this is my notes, there's so much notes. The first encounter with oil painting was in the 7th century, but it was more in the early Renaissance time and in the early 15th century that the oil painting was actually used in artwork. So they actually take the oil painting as a binder for the pigments. And you see after times that there's was artists, the most known artist to actually use the oil painting at first was a northern artist that was Jan van Eyck in the, I think it was the, I have the name here, the Arnolfini portraits. He actually used oil painting, but it was really popularized at the end of the 15th century when Leonardo da Vinci used it to make the Mona Lisa painting. And as we know, it's one of the most popular painting in the world. So when Leonardo did that, it actually put the oil painting in a category that if you want to do portraits or you want to do easel work, it's kind of the medium that you need to use because it's perfect. So at the 16th century it was more developed and the technique was more and more present to actually know the limits of the oil and what we can actually do with it. So you have artists like Titian that use layers of glaze to actually put perspective on their painting to make it more realistic. And you have Caravaggio that use the shade and light with the opaque pigment of the oil to make the image pop and to make more of a statement with the subject. You actually have other artists in the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st century that actually use oil in a different way. Now in the abstract world you can actually use oil on the abstract. It makes more of a texture. You don't actually need a medium to make it more thicker because it's already thick. So you know that oil is still, and today is, the paint that's more loved and is more popular. So now that we cover a little short historic explanation, we need to know what is it. So what is it? What is oil? Because yes, it's magical, but what is it? What is it? So what is oil painting? What is formula? How does it work? What is it? Tell me. So There's a formula that's pretty much the same thing. You have three principal ingredients in the formula, as if same thing with the acrylic. So you have the pigment that gives you the color of it, you have the binder that is oil, the usual oil that is used is linseed oil, and you have a thinner. The reason why it's a thinner, it works as the same thing as the water, is keep you to wash your painting with it, and helps you with the application of it, because if you don't have thinner, the application won't be as perfect as with a thinner. It makes the painting more flexible to just actually paint with it. So you have thinner, binder, and pigment. The big difference between oil painting and other kind of paintings, for example watercolor, acrylic, gouache, is the drying aspect. Because when you have water in the formula like acrylic, it works with evaporation. So as the time passes, the water evaporates and keeps the color beautiful. But as for oil, it's a little bit different. So it works in oxidation. What I mean by that is you have a chemical reaction with the oxygen. So it transforms the paint to liquid and makes it more like a gel-like, and after time it makes it hard, so it's dry to be perfect, and the quality of it and the color of it stays really beautiful in a really long time. This is why the painting of Rembrandt, Mona Lisa, and every artist that I told you earlier are as beautiful as the time that they painted, because this is the big difference of the dry aspect. It makes the color stays really beautiful and stays as the same as the paint when the painter just did the work. So this is what is oil, and this is what it's kind of extraordinary, and this is why it's kind of popular, because of this just the aspect of drying. I feel like a scientist to tell you that. I feel smart to tell you that. I feel really smart. I did some research, I didn't know that. Okay, so why do we use oil painting besides of being awesome? We need more reason why actually artists choose this one. So I found actually 4 reasons why it's a good choice if you want to actually try oil painting, with which kind of reason why people choose it. So the first reason is the slow drying aspect of it. So as I explained to you, the oxidation makes the painting dries in a really long time. It actually dries in 3 months to a year. Yes.
I'm ready!
The actual time, it's about 6 months for the painting to be dry. So if you're someone that really likes to do quick painting, it's not a good thing. If you're someone that actually have project that takes weeks, oil is perfect, because you can actually the paint, as it's not dry, it stays humid, so you can actually rework on it. You can actually correct something that you don't like also. So if your shade or if your transition is not the way you like, it's kind of easy to just rework. So this is the first reason, it's slow drying aspect, so you can take your time and make it your painting the really most and a perfect result that you like. The second reason is because of the great versatility of it. Actually the color is really, our painting can be really opaque, but you can use thinner to just make it more transparent, so you can change the color in a way that you want, and you can make your subject in the way you like. So for example Caravaggio used the black in his opaque statement to make the shade really intense, but use the thinner to make the transition with the light really beautiful. So this is why people actually use it. The third reason is the longevity, because of the technique of the oxidation of the drying time. It actually makes also the color to stays really long and stays beautiful through centuries. And this is why we actually see painting of Rembrandt, we actually see of Titian, every artist can think that paint oil. When you see in the museum, you actually see in the same aspect as when the time they actually paint it, because the color stays beautiful, and this is why the formula is so perfect for them. The fourth reason, I think, is for the subject matter. So if you are a person that really likes to do realistic work, you like to do a photo-like painting, likes to do landscape, it's kind of the medium that you need, because the difference between the acrylics is the acrylic, when you want to work with it, you actually mix your color in the palette and after you put it on the canvas. But for the oil, you can work on the canvas. So you can actually put your white, and after you put your blue, and it's gonna mix it together as well as you do your paint stroke. So to do transition, to do shade to light technique, it's kind of more fluid than just mixing together and after put it on the canvas. So and you actually work it in a really long time, so you won't be stressed, because in the acrylic, if you do one stroke, it's gonna dry in minutes. So if you didn't do a good transition, you cannot rework with it. So if you're someone that really likes to do precise work, that likes to do realistic work, choose the oil painting, even though the technique is a little bit more intense. When you actually know how to use it, it's perfect. And last but not least, how do we use it? It's a little bit more difficult and more complicated than the acrylic, because when you saw in the video of the acrylic, I actually said you take the paint, you take the brush, and you do one stroke, and that's it. But for oil, it's a little bit more tricky.
Just a little bit.
So as you pour your paint out of the tube of the oil painting out of the tube, you actually see that the oil painting is really thick. So if you just take your brush and take the painting, you will see that it's a little bit more difficult to actually spread on the canvas. So you actually need a medium to make it more fluid. So people, what do we use? You can use actually the same oil as the formula of your painting. So if your tube actually having the formula linseed oil, you can actually use linseed oil. So you're gonna make it more creamy to make the experience of the painting more perfect. You can actually use also thinner, but don't use as much as oil, because the thinner makes the color really transparent. So if you want to keep the opaque aspect of your painting, don't use too much thinner. Also, in the cleaning process of your brushes, it's a little bit more different, because with acrylic you actually just need water, but with oil you need the thinner to clean your brushes. So there's actually 2 steps for cleaning your brushes. So at first you take your paint and you take your brushes with the paint on it and you put it in a thinner, so it will make the paint go away. And after you take your water and you soak, and it's gonna help. You don't need to do this step, but what it helps to when you do this step is keep your brushes in a good quality in a really long time, because if you don't do it, it's gonna damage a little bit of the synthetic or the bristle of your brush in a long time. So you will need to buy other brushes, but you don't actually need this technique. You can just use the thinner, but you need to use thinner, and thinner means chemical, so it smells a little bit. So if you're more fragile to the smell, or the if you have allergic reaction, maybe oil is not a good choice for you. This is the only difference. So it won't wash with water, it's just gonna wash with a thinner, but it's kind of the same process. You just need a thinner to wash your brush. That's it. I know that you don't see actually the painting, but I want to do some video on how to use acrylic, how to use oil, so you actually see the painting. But just to explain to you the difference between them, oil, you need to have a medium to make it more creamy, to apply it on the canvas, and when you want to clean your brushes, you just need a thinner. It's kind of simple. But with the process, as I explained earlier, you can actually do your mixing on the canvas. You can mix it before. It's what you want to do. If you watch Bob Ross painting, you actually see that it's mixing on the on his palette, but it's actually mixing on the canvas also. It makes both of them. So there's different technique, but it's gonna be video on more of a physical. You're gonna see the oil work. So this is the end of the video. I hope you liked it. We learned about oil painting, more of the classic and more of what is oil and how can we use it. But we actually learned that the reason why it's so magical and people really like it is because of the slow drying aspect. Because if you're someone that really likes to paint really slowly, to have a really long project, who likes to do realistic subject, it's kind of the perfect painting for you. It's kind of made for you. You like in a box, there's oil painting. You need to go in the box, you need to choose oil. So if in the reason you saw yourself in the 4th reason, just take oil painting, is kind of perfect for you. And just wait, there's gonna be other video on how to use it more visually, so you will see the painting, how is it. And if you want to actually want me to do a video on the what, why and how on a specific kind of painting, you can comment down below. I'm gonna take it really seriously because I want to explain to you something. So, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, come to the family because here we learn art without being so serious. Because art is fun. Bye guys.